Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Tag Talk. My name is Kylie. This is Haley, and I just wanted to apologize. There was no episode last week. There was a hurricane. I was depressed, and it just wasn't going to work for us. So you know what? But this week we have a lot to talk about because this week, for whatever reason, it's like every wrestling company decided they were going to have an event this week.
Yeah.
So, listen, we're going to do our best to cover everything, but it was a lot.
It was.
So, let's start with Impact.
Okay.
So, for me, Impact had Bound for Glory.
Mm-hmm.
For me, probably my favorite match and, one of my favorite things in Impact is the Death Dolls. So, it's Impact, Knockout Women... Impact Knockout Women's
Tag Team Champions, yeah.
So many words. But anyway, it's Rosemary, Ty Valkyrie, and Jessica. New champs. What did you think of the match? What do you think of the Death Dolls? What do you think of Impact?
I mean, I love Impact. Bound for Glory is one of my favorite pay-per-views that any company holds. I always think it's really good. Mm-hmm. I was a little surprised, but with the status, because they took the titles off of VXT, mm-hmm. but with the status of, Chelsea in her contract, I don't want to speculate too much. That's not my business. And everything going on with Deonna and, her wedding and everything. I feel like this was kind of a good opportunity. And I feel like the Knockouts tag titles are kind of becoming synonymous with Rosemary and Jessica and Taya, because they've held the titles, I think, on 3 occasions.
Yeah.
Just in different variations, obviously.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think Impact, especially with the Knockouts, they're doing a lot of really great stuff.
Yeah.
And they're putting on a lot of great pay-per-views. And, we don't talk about Impact a lot on the show, mostly because, well, I'm not sure how many of our viewers watch Impact, but if you aren't watching Impact, I really think it's worth checking out. There is some silly stuff on Impact, but I think there's a lot of just really great wrestling on that show. And this match to me is emblematic of that. And I think moving forward, I think Taya in particular is going to have a major role. I don't know. Again, I don't know her status of, what she wants to do with her career and whatever, but I don't know. I'm really excited about this.
I am too, and I think that they looked really great together. I love their matching gear. I think the entrance is really cool, so I'm excited to see them elevate the tag division, because I think that the Knockouts divisions in general are very good, and I hope they get a lengthy reign, because I think the longest reign that they've had since the title came back from vacancy is 4 months, give or take.
Yeah.
So they've been playing hot potato a bit, which isn't my favorite thing with titles sometimes. So I hope that they, get a lengthy reign.
Yeah, wasn't it? It was Jordan and Rachel, right? That held it for like 20 days. It was 3 weeks or something. Mm-hmm. With Jordan Grace and Rachel Ellering.
Yeah. I think
correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I think I remember that. Which is absolutely absurd, but Impact. But I do think they've turned a new leaf in the last, especially this summer. I think this summer was a big turning point for Impact. And Bobby Fish is there. So if you're going to tune in for anything, tune in for Robert the Fish.
No, Robert the Fish.
I have a special bond with Bobby Fish.
We know.
I'm not going to get into it, but if you follow me on Twitter, you know. So moving on from Impact, because we don't want to spend too much time on that, because like I said, we have so many things to get through. Let's shift over to WWE. The Brawling Brutes versus Imperium, which I think, and I just want to be upfront and honest, I think Imperium is one of the best things in WWE right now. And I think realistically, Imperium should be at the top of everything. I don't know. There's just something about, their presentation and the way they wrestle that is so unique to everything else in WWE. And as much as people say there's a style to WWE wrestling and that WWE wants people to wrestle a certain way, I think Imperium really departs from that in a lot of ways, and it really works. And we saw a lot of that in this match. What did you think of the match?
I thought it was good. I'm a fan of strong style wrestling, and I think it's something that we don't see a ton of in WWE specifically. Like, I feel like they have a lot of high flyers and kind of like mixed wrestling, but not a lot of strong style.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of appeals to me with Imperium specifically. And I think that they're kind of, making themselves known, and I would love to see them take the titles off the Usos. I know we talk about this all the time with the Usos, but listen, I love the Usos, but I just feel like they're overstaying their welcome a little bit, and I feel like with these hints, with them and Roman right now, specifically Jay, there's no better time.
I will say, when the match started and the camera panned over that little bar setup with the barrels, I was like, oh no, the bar. I missed the bar.
Oh, no.
That was so good. And I don't care what anybody says. The bar was good. I don't care. I love that. And I love this little Sheamus renaissance he's going through with the Brawling Brutes. I love like the Peaky Blinders aesthetic. But the bar forever in my heart.
But speaking of Sheamus, he really needed this win. And I feel like it says a lot about him that he's been in the business for 15 years or more now? A long time. And he's still able to get himself over with the crowds. I feel like maybe we could even see him take the Intercontinental title off of Gunther. I don't know. We'll see.
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I really wouldn't. It's never going to happen. But if it did, if WWE Trios titles were a thing, Imperium.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know what it is. Something
you have
about
to push them to the top. They're just so good.
They really are. And Triple H is in charge now, and I don't think Vince McMahon ever would have done a whole lot with them because I think his prize was Walter / Gunther, but I don't know. Imperium, Triple H, get on the money. Let's go. Nothing else to talk about WWE wise. Where are the Usos? We got a Solo Sikoa mention in the Drew McIntyre match. Other than that, what are we doing with the Usos moving forward? Are we going to hide them and pretend like they aren't double champs doing all this stuff? I don't know what we're doing.
We need something fresh,
Yeah.
More tag teams, please. Please start focusing on your tag divisions.
Just make some tag teams. It won't be hard. And I tweeted this and a lot of people poked fun and they the typical you're so stupid comments. But the Triple H honeymoon period is over. And Ronda Rousey, Liv Morgan, that was a big red flag for me. And Triple H, how you can resolve this. Fix the tag division. We talk about it all the time on the show. And I don't think Triple H is watching this, but if he is, hi. But AEW, which we'll get into in a minute, had so many tag matches on Rampage and then Battle of the Belts, and that's 2 hours of TV in total. And a lot of them were really great. And I just don't understand why WWE can't do the same. The Usos have both the belts, and I understand there's a reason for that, and they'll probably have the belts for, I don't know, 9 more years, 50 more years, who knows. But we can do other stuff. And Imperium versus the Brawling Brutes, to me, that was the pinnacle of WWE tag wrestling. There's so many good things in there. And we could go back and pick it apart for psychology and all those storytelling things, but it was very, very good. And we could do that consistently. This doesn't have to be a one-time thing. And I just need Triple H to connect the wires there and make sense of it.
I think, too, we spend a lot of time talking about the women's division, specifically the women's tag division, a lot, but I think that they're giving the men's division a run for their money right now. I think that the women's tag division is really on the up and up. So,
I think the women's division in general in WWE is doing a lot better.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with the Ronda Rousey decision, and I don't think the match was good. But I think with Bianca and, the mention of Sasha Banks on commentary, which doesn't mean she's coming back, but WWE is clearly friendly to Sasha Banks, which, is a good sign. So I don't know. Overall, I thought Extreme Rules was okay. There was a lot of bad, but there was the very good return of Bray Wyatt. And that was the only thing that I really loved. But it was a lot better than other WWE second level pay-per-views of the past. So
can I just mention something really fast before we move on? Because we were talking about Ronda and Liv. I feel like the only way that could be justified, that we could justify that loss, is if Liv joins Bray's little faction that he's teasing as Sister Abigail. I feel like that's the only way I could justify it, because she should not have lost that time.
And with her smile while she's getting
choked
out, it's a little evil, a little maniacal.
I love Liv in that little backstage segment.
I would love to see her with Bray, because Liv being with Bray has been something fans have fantasy booked forever, if years. You could, I don't know where you could trace it back to, but 2016 at least, I would say. So I think she'd do very well there.
And correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't she originally in talks to be Sister Abigail, or did I make that up?
She might have been. But the Alexa Bliss thing, I think that's going to be a very big obstacle for them to overcome, because I don't think fans are going to want to trust in the Sister Abigail-esque character because of how awful Alexa Bliss, she was great. She acted great, but how bad that character was. So, are they going to erase that, the past of it and, move forward? Is everything about the Fiend gone and erased, and this is completely new? Because then you, in my opinion, you also have to erase the entire Wyatt family.
Yeah. I feel like that kind of all of the faces of Bray's past is him kind of saying goodbye to it, and it's kind of a death type thing. Mm-hmm. But like you said, then you'd have to get rid of the Wyatt family. And I'm not.
I don't know. I mean, Bray Wyatt, he's a very creative guy. I think Triple H understands that and would trust him to be a little more creative with this stuff. I pray that if Liv Morgan does join this new group, that Alexa Bliss doesn't. And Alexa Bliss stays far away from it, and they really don't even interact ever. I want a wall to be between Alexa Bliss and Bray Wyatt's universe, because if once you bring her in there and you have that contact, we got to talk about the doll and the swing set and all the annoying things, the black magic and all the things. So for my own sanity, Triple H, keep them apart.
I feel like Scarlett could be kind of cool, though.
Yeah.
I kind of like what they're doing with her. And, I know, she's kind of stuck with Cross, but I feel like that'd be interesting. Because she can wrestle, and she's a good wrestler. I want to see her wrestling on TV.
And I think she's stuck with him, one, because she's beautiful, and it, feeds into his character. And I think just for the sake of his entrance. Mm-hmm. She's not doing anything particularly, unique as a valet. But, the entrance, the fans love it, and they're so attached to this entrance, which, in my opinion, is kind of, not that great. But I don't know why she's there.
I know.
I don't know what we're doing there.
And she's completely capable. Like I said, she's such a good wrestler. If you guys haven't seen her wrestle before, please go check out her matches. Mm-hmm. And I would just love to see them do more with her. I think she's a valuable asset to the women's division.
I agree. And with the women's division on the up and up, it'd be cool to see her. She could wrestle anybody and be great. Yeah. Like, the women's division right now on the main roster is just so stacked. And I'm excited for it. But moving into AEW, which there was a lot of AEW this week. We had Dynamite, then we had Rampage, and we had Battle of the Belts. We're going to focus primarily on Battle of the Belts and Rampage because we got some things to talk about here. So just a little bit of a rundown. Blackpool Combat Club and trio matches again. They beat Roosh and Private Party. I don't think they're going anywhere with Blackpool Combat Club as a trio. I'm not even entirely sure what the point of this match was. I guess just a showcase for Roosh, which it was.
I'm excited to see Private Party, though. Like, we talk about it all the time and how underrated they are and they need to be on TV. So I'm super glad that they were on TV.
Yeah, and I really hope they start explicitly addressing this Matt Hardy Private Party situation where they're, like, in this contract dispute with Andrade. And I don't know, we need a little bit more. But now Andrade's, like, in trouble.
Yeah.
So I don't know where we go from here. Maybe Roosh and, like, Jose the assistant will be his proxy, and, like, Matt Hardy will buy them out with the money he made from the Hardy family office.
Maybe.
I don't know. Regardless, Private Party doing something, anything, is important to me because they beat the Young Bucks, and we just seem to have forgotten that.
Yep.
So then we had Varsity Blondes versus Tony Nese and Josh Woods. And let me just say, with Smart Mark Sterling, the ROH crossover into Rampage, Rampage in particular, not really Dynamite, is kind of weird. And I, like, a lot of ROH is taking over Rampage. And we saw that in this match with the Varsity Blondes just looking like idiots. I love Josh Woods and I do like Tony Nese. And I think they're a great tag team. I think they wrestle great together. But I'm not sure the fans are making the connections between ROH and AEW that would, like, make this, like, fans aren't seeing ROH on the same level as AEW. And that is, like, I think that's really hurting Rampage, especially here.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, Rampage is the B show, obviously. Dynamite's their baby. And I understand that, you know, you need to kind of develop Ring of Honor stories on television, especially if you're going to campaign to get the show on TV again. But I do feel like it's hurting Rampage. I feel like a lot of people are becoming very disinterested, no matter how good the matches are. I just don't think it's working. I feel like they would just spread it out better.
And, like, we saw the Acclaimed, and, you know, we saw the Acclaimed on Dynamite too with the National Scissoring Day celebration, which was excellent. Swerve came out, so I guess they're still mixing it up with Swerve and Lee, whatever. It is what it is. But, like, when you have something that's such a highlight, like the Acclaimed being World Tag Champs, you know, the first homegrown champs, all that stuff, it's weird to me that you have other, like, homegrown tag teams like the Varsity Blondes, and you're not really, like, capitalizing on that. And, you know, Josh Woods and Tony Nese, they are another homegrown tag team, but they're like ROH.
Yeah.
Like, they're not AEW. So I don't know what this relationship is. And, you know, I understand that AEW needed time to figure out how it's going to relate to ROH. But I presume that everything exists under the same universe because we do see that crossover. And, like, we saw it again on Battle of the Belts with FTR, which we'll get into. But I don't know. I don't find it compelling TV to have ROH guys coming in and out for seemingly no reason other than matches and then segments after. It's just, I'm just not into it.
And to your point about homegrown talent, I feel like they, other than the Acclaimed, they're having trouble finding the footing with these teams. I feel like the Varsity Blondes are in a very tragic position. I feel like we're going to see the end of them very soon. And I feel like Brian Pillman Jr. will be completely fine. But it hurts my heart because I do like Griff, and I feel like he's really just going to float. And, that's the case for a lot of people in AEW, but I hope that he gets put somewhere with something. Like, I don't even know. Like, where could you put him?
I think I'd just stick him with Neeson Woods and put him in ROH, to be honest.
True.
I think he fits well there, and I don't think he's necessarily ready to stand on his own, compared to the AEW roster. Like, he's not as fleshed out as a performer as Brian Pillman Jr. is.
Yeah.
And he needs more time. Like, he's been in Varsity Blondes for so long, but then Julia Hart left Varsity Blondes, and it's like we got no forward momentum. And a lot of the stories Varsity Blondes, were involved with, like their feud with the Acclaimed, controversial, but that was about, like, the Acclaimed really honed in on Julia. And then we had Julia's heel turn, and we had, Brian Pillman's feud, but it's like Brian Pillman Jr. feuding with people because he's being bullied or whatever. But it's never been about Griff. It's like the other two, which understandable because they both stand out, I think, a lot more. I just think he needs more practice doing things, and he doesn't get things. Like, he doesn't get like things where he's forced to, work on his own. So I don't know what they do with him. Like, you could put him in ROH with Neeson Woods. You could keep him on AEW and, like, I don't know, you could make him feud with, like, the Dark Order or something. I don't know. Like, he doesn't fit anywhere.
And it sucks.
Yeah.
I feel like ROH would be a good spot for him, especially because they're trying to kind of build a roster over there and kind of put new developing talent. And I feel like it's a good spot for a lot of people that are just kind of floating in AEW right now to, filter into Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. And also that way you don't have to sign a bunch of people to Ring of Honor and, make your overall roster even bigger. Overall, I don't know why this match was here other than a place filler and a thing for Neeson Woods and the Acclaimed, but whatever. Moving into women's tag action, we had TJ, Anna Jay, and Ty Mello versus Madison Rayne and Sky Blue. First of all, what did you think of that segment on Dynamite where Madison Rayne was like, I'm here and I'm, like, helping to build young talent, especially this star, Sky Blue. And then they just get interrupted by Ty Mello and Anna Jay for, like, no reason.
It was giving me, like, this is going to sound so bad because I love Madison Rayne, but it was giving me, like, CM Punk energy. Like, that promo they cut when he was like, I'm here to work with, like, the younger guys and, like, whatever. It was giving me that energy. I love Madison Rayne, though, and I'm not comparing her to CM Punk at all. But, I don't know. I feel like it's definitely odd, especially to see TJ. We haven't really seen them tag too much together recently. I mean, I'm glad that they are. I have said for a long time that I feel like they should be on TV and kind of developing, and I feel like with everything going on with Sammy, Ty needs to break apart and do her own thing again. So I'm glad it's on today.
And I think, like, the last few episodes of Tag Talk, we both have really talked about how, Anna Jay, joining the Jericho Appreciation Society should have been an automatic reunion of those two as a tag team in matches. And, we're finally getting that. And I would like to see Ty Mello really stand on her own again without Sammy Guevara. I don't know all the details about the Andrade fight. I don't know what went down. I wasn't there. But the bottom line is that Sammy Guevara, clearly, he's a drama queen in some capacity. He attracts drama, maybe. He attracts dramatic people, or maybe he exudes drama. I don't know what the situation is. He could be a complete villain. He could be a complete victim. I don't know. Regardless, Ty Mello and Anna Jay, there's money in that act. And when, going back to the street fight after that, they didn't really capitalize on it the way that they should have, in my opinion. Sky Blue is a special talent, and Madison Rayne, a veteran. We love her, and I love that she's here in the women's division. But if we really start working to bring up, the women of the Jericho Appreciation Society, It's not just Jericho being ROH World Champion, which I just remembered, and it's absurd to me. But we could really do something here.
Yeah.
Instead of them just being, props in this whole Jericho world.
I will say, I'm particularly happy with the developments in the women's division lately. I feel like we're finally getting a lot of focus off of Brit.
Yeah.
And, she's like the face of AEW, pretty much. I would say Sheeta is, but, if Tony's going to put somebody at the forefront of the women's division, it's going to be Brit. But I feel like some of that focus is finally coming off of her, and we're seeing a lot of development with some of these younger girls. I love that we're seeing more of Penelope Ford on TV. I think she's been so good since she came back from her injury. And I loved seeing her in such a big spot. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited, and I hope we get more of that.
Yeah, and I do think there's something special about the Brit and Soraya dynamic. There's reports that Soraya is approved to wrestle, cleared to wrestle, excuse me. I don't know. I'm not her. I'm not her doctor. But the way that they're really bringing in as many people as they can into that feud instead of making it, one-on-one, I love that. And I mentioned on Twitter, but doing a blood and guts, a women's blood and guts with,
the money.
Teams, it'd be so good. And you would be able to give a young talent like Willow or Penelope the opportunity to do something really cool. One, to add to their portfolio of cool moments, and two, really get the fans invested in them. Not that fans aren't invested in Penelope and Willow, but not to the level of Brit or Soraya or Sheeta. So I think there's money there, and I think that is really just masterfully done. Instead, because you could have easily just done Brit and Soraya, but bringing in everyone, I think that's a big step forward in the women's division. I don't know if we owe it to Soraya or if we owe it to Madison Rayne or maybe Tony Khan's finally seeing the light. I don't know, but I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. I'm just going to accept it, and I'm just going to smile because I like it.
I love to having big factions like that. You get so many unique mashups and matchups that you probably wouldn't see otherwise on TV, and I feel like it gives a lot of room to breathe. There's so many directions that storylines could go in. I love it.
Me too. So, okay, I'll give you the choice. Do you want to talk about Dark Order or FTR first?
Let's go Dark Order first.
Okay, Death Triangle versus Dark Order for the trios titles. I think we can all agree this was absurd. They've set up essentially Dark Order to win the trios titles. I was prepared for it. I was ready. It's Brody Lee's, 2-year, 2-year anniversary, his 2-year mark. And you have Dark Order, which has their 10 is in there. So 10 is his, Brody Lee's little protege that he handpicked. And then you have Death Triangle, who admittedly, I do love Death Triangle. But Pac's doing double duty. Pac is basically teasing a heelish attitude. And, I think it was time for Dark Order to get something, especially with the Elite being gone. But that's not what happened, is it, Haley?
No. And I'm not opposed to Death Triangle being trios champs. And for a while I was okay, obviously, they're going to be transitional champs for when the Elite come back. You can get good story out of that, whatever. But I feel like because Pac is pulling double duty right now, the trios division is already getting put on the back burner for the All-Atlantic title. And that sucks because you just introduced these titles and they already feel meaningless. And I feel like this was the prime opportunity to have Dark Order win, be transitional champs for the Elite. They're the underdogs. Nobody would have expected it. And then when the Elite come back, it just adds another layer to that story. And it would be so cool.
Yeah, and I don't know when the Elite are coming back because there's reports the investigation stalled someone isn't being cooperative, blah, blah, blah. We're not going to get into that because Haley and I, we said our piece. But, but the thing is, I do like Death Triangle. I've always really liked them. But it's like the trios titles are just a prop for Pac right now because he's, 2 belts. He's 2-pack. And I don't think I like that very much. And it feels like, one, the trios titles are becoming less important. The Elite left. They had no plans for the titles. I get it. But 2, it feels like the Lucha Brothers are becoming less important compared to Pac. And like for a trio to really work, like everyone needs to be treated as important because they're all champions. Like in the Elite, everyone was important because they're all champions. And with Dark Order, I would argue, especially with the Brody Lee tie-in for 10, they're all important for, the integrity of the Dark Order as the whole faction. But it's like the Lucha Bros are just there. Like, where's the Lucha Bros?
I feel like they keep getting put in this position, too. Like, even when they were tag champions, I felt this way. Like, their reign, they had amazing matches. I love the Lucha Bros. I think they're incredible wrestlers. But their reign, to me, just felt so lackluster. Like, I feel like, and we've said it before, unless the Young Bucks are tag champions, they don't really know what to do.
Which is crazy.
You have incredible tag teams. The Lucha Bros, how do you mess up the Lucha Bros? How do you mess up the Lucha Bros? I
don't know.
And now you're messing them up again. You had an opportunity to have them be trio champions, and you're just putting them to the side again. I hate it. I really do.
And I just don't understand it because Pac is, he's an incredible wrestler and he's been in AEW since day one. Yeah. Like the first press conference, he was there. I get it. Really your OG guys, giving them what they deserve. Moxley just got another 5-year contract with a coaching role, presumably more responsibilities, more benefits, more money. Yes, do that. Take care of your OG guys. Give Pac something. The All-Atlantic title, cool, but like he's not on TV. Trios titles, he's on TV, he's doing double duty. But like you can't forget the Lucha Bros in that process. Like they're not just Pac's backup dancers. And for me, ever since they won the trios titles, it's really felt that way. Maybe even before, like to a lesser extent. And I just don't understand. You could have given the belts to the Dark Order here, which I think the Dark Order deserve it at this point. And then you could have done something with that triangle. You could, Pac could turn on the Lucha Bros or vice versa. And you could really move into something really, really cool with them. But it didn't happen. And instead, this happened. And I don't think, is there anyone genuinely who would be opposed to a Dark Order Trios run?
I don't know. It felt like it was set up so perfectly too, with, advertising this as like the Brody anniversary. And I'm not going to pretend to know about, Amanda's relationship with AEW and all of that. That's not my business. But for me, in my opinion, I felt that it was a bit distasteful to put the Dark Order on TV in this match and have them lose. I felt like even when 10 was advertised with Andrade, I was like, oh, well, I mean, he's going to lose that match, obviously, and it's going to suck. But with this, I was like, maybe the Dark Order have a chance. And it sucks to see that, like, no, the outcome was exactly the same.
Yeah, and, like, we've seen a lot of issues with the Dark Order. People not re-signing their contracts, going and doing other things. Hangman seemingly is, like, off doing his thing with Mox, and he's, like, not invested in trios or tag like he was in the past. So this was a really great opportunity for AEW to really solidify that Dark Order's not going anywhere. The Dark Order's forever. This is like a key part of AEW and what makes AEW so special, which I would argue the Dark Order is unique in wrestling. And are like a really, you have the Elite, you have the Dark Order, and that's about it in terms of like I think unshakable things in AEW. I just don't know. I don't know how they made this decision unless like the Dark Order is going to win later, like at a pay-per-view or something.
I feel like they will.
Which Tony Khan loves to do for some reason. He did it with the Acclaimed. He did it with Thunder Rosa. I don't know what the point is about it, but
especially having them lose twice now in trios bouts.
I don't know.
Are the fans going to get behind it? Like, is the purpose to make them the underdogs so that like the payoff is greater? I don't know. I feel like they can't afford to keep taking losses like this though.
I think to an extent, like fans are starting to not take them seriously.
Yeah,
like when you see Dark Order, when you see Dark Order advertised for a title match,
like,
with the exception of this one, I don't think anyone really believes that they're going to win. I think before, when Brody, rest in peace, when Brody was still alive and he was leading as the Exalted One, and you had Anna Jay, and you had like the big, full, complete Dark Order. I think they felt unstoppable. And I think I would have believed they would win any title that they went for. Brody won the TNT title. I think Anna Jay could have won the women's title. We could have had tag titles. We could have done the whole thing. But then we had, the unfortunate passing of Brody Lee. We have Anna Jay dipping off to Jericho Appreciation Society. Stu's gone. Alan Angels is gone. And now we're down to like the bones of the Dark Order. And it's like, they're a shell of what they used to be. And it's weird. If you think about Dark Order when it was Uno and Grayson and they debuted and people hated them. Yeah. They hated them because they were so cheesy and annoying. And look at this little renaissance they had. And I think they owe it to Brody Lee. And so them talking about Brody Lee and then putting the Dark Order out there just for the Dark Order to not win is absurd. It's just bad booking. Like morals and ethics and emotions aside, it's like not good booking.
No.
I didn't like this at all.
I just moral of the story, I think we both want the Dark Order to be trios champs. I think, like I said, that it would add another layer to, the Elite Dark Order lore. Whenever they come back, we don't know, but hopefully they win soon.
And, people are saying the AEW doesn't miss the Elite. AEW misses the Elite. This is why. I don't care if you can talk about ratings. You can talk about social media numbers. I don't care. But if we talk about strict booking and stories, AEW misses the Elite. And I don't think you can really argue with that. Sorry. I don't care if you hate the Elite. You can objectively say when the Elite are in AEW, it's better. All of them. Look at when Kenny got hurt and then it was not as good. But anyway. Listen, I'm full of controversial opinions today. Like my legs are so sore. I had a workout. Like I really pushed myself and now my legs are so sore.
Not us both having sore legs. Not that this is like has to do with anything, but
it has nothing to do with wrestling.
We are the same.
And listen, I think that after this, I'm gonna go to bed.
So smart. I love that. We're filming on Sunday again.
Yeah.
We both don't feel good, and it's 1 p.m.
Yeah.
We're ready to go to bed.
Let's get this last match out of the way. We have FTR and the Gates of Agony. What do you think of the Gates of Agony? How they're like presented in AEW?
I like them. I'm glad we're seeing more of them. And I think that they're kind of posing themselves as a viable threat to FTR. And I'm kind of into that.
Yeah.
I don't want like FTR to lose their titles or anything, but I'm kind of liking this.
I think the issue with ROH is that the roster isn't fleshed out. So like a lot of the champions feel like they're going to be champions for like the next decade.
Yeah.
And ROH, of course, falls under not ROH. FTR falls under that category. But I don't know, with Gates of Agony being in this match, and I think they were impressive. I think Khan in particular is very impressive. And then we had Brian Cage being Brian Cage against Wardlow. Anyway, I don't know. I feel like if they did an ROH pay-per-view, I don't know when they would do it, December probably, but I think Gates of Agony, like if they beat FTR, I would be okay with it. Like I'd understand the booking, I understand the reasoning for it, and I think it would be believable, especially with how they've been presented as like these monsters who are unstoppable and this big faction. FTR, I never really thought that if ROH starts TV, I never thought FTR would be there. I always thought FTR was just there, to carry through this non-TV period. But then again, we have Jericho as world champion. I don't know what's going on with that. But anyway, and FTR, of course, has the AAA belt still, IWGP, not AEW, but and I don't know if you start taking belts away from them now or if you do more with it. I don't know. Regardless, I think it's best for ROH to really have, a home talent, like an ROH specific team to be tag champs, because FTR, they can only do so much with the belts. They have 3 belts. They're in AEW and don't have the AEW belts. They have everybody else's belts. So I think it's best for ROH. I thought this match was okay. I thought it was really good. FTR is still so over, and the fans still really love them, which confuses me about why they're not on TV more often. But, drama is drama. It is what it is. Regardless, this was okay. Battle of the Belts was okay this time. It was good.
I'm usually not into Battle of the Belts, really. Like, for a match, like, here and there. But not, like, the show as a whole. I thought it was good. And I do think that, like, if they run, like, a final battle back or something, a lot of people are talking about FTR and the Briscoes again. And I just feel like, one, because the Briscoes seemingly can't be on AEW TV, so they have to develop, those storylines through social media.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think that they should run their third match back yet. I think they need to give that time to breathe, and I think that Gates of Agony is a good choice.
Yeah, I think there's an argument either way for FTR or Gates of Agony. Like, going into ROH TV, I think you could argue either one of them should be champs.
Yeah.
But I think this match did its job and made it seem less implausible that Gates of Agony could be realistic threats to FTR. And I think Brian Cage, I have my criticisms of Brian Cage. I think the way he was presented against Wardlow, I think that's where we're going with this whole embassy faction. So it was okay. I think AEW won the week in terms of wrestling. I thought there was more substance to AEW this week than I think WWE or Impact. But then again, it's subjective. It's a matter of opinion. Don't come for me. Don't attack me. But overall, I thought it was a great weekend. I really did.
Yeah, and it's still not even over. There's still wrestling going on tonight. We got GCW. Probably some other stuff that I can't think of right now because I'm so tired, you guys.
And then right after this, I got to ship this episode off so it could be uploaded on time. But yeah, I think we hit a lot of the big highlights this week. It was a big week for tag wrestling, like we said. Not so much in WWE, but everywhere else, there was a lot of the good tag team wrestling. I was really impressed. I'm excited to get a full night of sleep, though.
You deserve it.
So, Haley, do you want to do your closing thoughts and your plugs?
What are my closing thoughts? Push the Imperium to the moon. Have them dethrone the Usos. And yeah, those are my closing thoughts. My plugs, you guys can follow me on Twitter at @Haley_, to see everything that I'm doing. I have started up my writing thing again. So you can check out Nerds and Beyond, Body Slam, all that stuff. It's all linked on my Twitter. Follow. We say it every week. Follow at Romantic Wrestle on Twitter. Promise. Listen, we say it every week. We're like, we have stuff coming. Like, we promise.
I'm so busy, guys. You don't understand. I work full
time. It's hard. It's hard. We're two hardworking gals just trying to make it in the world. We're girl bosses.
I'm surprised we can do this show every week, to be honest. How busy we are.
Girl bosses. But we promise. Soon, eventually. I don't know. But yeah, follow at Romantic Wrestle on Twitter.
You can follow me on Twitter at Fuller_Kiley. I post everything I'm doing there. Tag Talk Sunday at 5 on Fightful Overbooked every Sunday except for last week because there was a hurricane. I'm sorry. Anything else I'm doing, I'll post on my Twitter. Subscribe to Fightful Overbooked. Lots of great content on there. Like this video, comment. I'm sure you guys have some great opinions to share with us. Keep it classy, though, please. Other than that, I guess we'll see you guys next week.